Hey, doctor.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. Havchet.
Ready.
Elohadisnan matzah tachrik shel shtaros agudah shel. You found a grouping of contracts, loan documents. Harei yachzir. You should return it. Now, hakanami dinichal lemalva. There also we said the borrower is not happy that these things are being returned. What? So El Amarav Simonim Daraisa, because we were debating are Simonim Drabanan Daraisa. Rava says Simonim Daraisa Tichsiv. Vayayimcha, the lost object should be with you. Adrosh Achicha Oso, until the person who lost the object will come and ask you about it. So v'chitala al datzcha shitnenu kodem shidrushenu. What? You're going to give it to him before he asks for it? Ela darsheu im ramayu o in ramah. You have to investigate to make sure he's not a trickster. Now, how do we investigate? Isn't it lav b'simonim? Does he know the simonim? Obviously, if we return with simonim and he's not a trickster, it's doraisa. Shema minah. It seems that the Gemara has proven that it's doraisa. Amarava. Imtim salomer simonim doraisa. So if you indeed hold that simonim are doraisa, so the Gemara immediately, what do you mean imtim salomer? How pashut le simonim that you just answered and resolved the issue? So mishum de ikle, yeah, but we asked all sorts of questions on that. So maybe if you don't like the tirutzim, so that's why he said imtim saloma. So the shaila is simonim v'simonim. Two people come and give simonim in the lost object. What do? Who do you give it to? They're both correct. Yaniach. You don't give it to either. Simonim ve'edim. What's better? The person who knows is simon, or a person, or two edim come to say, oh, we know that this belongs to this guy. Yinos in the bala edim. Edus is better than simonim. What about simonim v'simonim ve'edechad? Reuven has simonim, Shimon has simonim, and one aid.
Yes, not here.
Eid echad command lesse. We ignore the one aid. We know that one aid doesn't, at least in Mominus, doesn't have any role. And therefore you have simonim and simonim yaniach. Eidi ariga ve'edi nefila. You have eidim that give testimony that this garment was woven for Reuven. And two other eidim say, we saw the beged fall from Shimon. Tinos and Leid in Nefila. You give it to Shimon. The Eidi Nefila are more acceptable than the Eidi Ariga. The Amrinan, Zvuni Zavna. The guy that it was made for sold it. And the guy who bought it was the one who it fell from. Now, Midas Orko and Midas Rachel. One guy tells you how long the garment is. The other tells you how wide it is. Tinos saying Lemidas Orko. It's more specific, the length. The Midas Rachel she Orko Misharle. You look at a person when he's wearing a garment, you can you make an estimate how wide it is. But midas arkolo mishtarla, it's much harder to get an idea of how long it is. So it's a siman muvik. If the guy knows how long it is, he's probably the owner. He didn't just view it from somebody. Midas Orko, Midas Rochbo, and the other says Midas Gamov. So you have a length and a width, and then you have the addition of those two, like the Greek letter gamma. You're not saying the Midas Orko Rochbo. You give it to the one who can give you the separate measurement. Midas Orko, Midas Rochbo versus Midas Mishkalosa. Person has the height, the length and width, and another guy has the weight. You not say Midas Mishkalosa. The weight is a more accurate siman. Usually only the owner of a beged will know what its weight is. Now, you have a lost get. We don't know if the get fell from the ball before he gave it to the wife, or maybe he gave it to the wife and the wife dropped it. Who oimer simone aget, be omer simone aget. Each one gives you a simon. You're not saying law. You give it to the woman. Now, b'mai, what kind of simon are we talking about? Ilema b'midas ark of rochbo. They gave the dimensions of the document. Dilma body naked like chazise. Maybe the wife, maybe the husband hasn't given it to the wife, but the wife has seen it in the Baal's possession, and she's able to estimate the width and the height, and yet it still hadn't been given. And maybe the get was lost before it was given. That would be a problem because she would still be Neisha Sish. So what kind of simon are we talking about? Ella nekev yeshbo b'tzad os ploni. There's a hole in the document right next to this letter. The woman would not know that unless she had had the get in her hand. Hu omer simone achut. A husband gives the color of the thread by which the get was woven. V'hi omeret simone achut. And she gives it to, you're not saying law, gives to her. You give it to her. What? Whether it's white or red, she also could have seen the get in his possession before it was given to her and identified what color it is. El b'midas orko. We're talking about she gave the length. You're not going to know the length unless you have it. Another case. Hu omer b'chvisa v'yomer b'chvisa. He says the get is in a box, and she says the same thing. Then you're not saying lo, because maybe yada the kol madi isle b'chvisa hu demalachle. The wife knows that everything that he has of a personal nature he puts in that box, so we can't rely on her testimony. Mishnah. When do you have to stop? Ad mosei chayv lahakris. What is you find a lost object. You have to announce it. How long you have to announce it for? So ad kidei sheyedu b'shchena, the Reb Meir. Reb Meir says until the neighbors know. Rabbi Yehuda Omer sholosh regalim, b'achal regular achron shiva yom. You have to do it for 3 yomim tovim, Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkos, and after the last yontif, 7 days have to go by. Why? Sheyelech lebeso shlosh yomim. You have to go home to see if he lost anything. V'yachzor shlosh yomim, and then come back 3 days to Yerushalayim. V'yachriz yom echad. Tana. Shchene Aveda.
Is that opinion of Rabbi Yehuda only for lost objects in Yerushalayim?
No, I believe it's a time frame that even if you lost it anywhere, it certainly makes sense for Yerushalayim because
People come up for the regal.
right,
They would come back.
he has to come back. The halacha has nothing to do with where you are. This is the time frame is no matter where you are. Now, what does it mean? My shcheni aveda, the neighbors of where was lost. Ile meshchenim shel bal aveda, you mean the owner. So if he knows who the owner is, let him go directly there. Ella shchenim mokum shenimtzu bo aveda, meaning the neighbors in the area where he found the lost object. Now, v'raminu, we ask a kasha on the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda. B'shloisha b'mar cheshvan, shoyalin bigshon. On the third day of Cheshvan, we start davening the Saint Talamater. This is in Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Galil Omer b'shiva bo. We wait until the 7th. Shu chamisha asuyom achar achag, 15 days after Sukkot. Kidei sheyagia achron sheberetz Yisrael. We want the person who lives farthest away from Yerushalayim to be able to get back. Ad Nahar Pras, until the Euphrates, which is for this purpose considered the Gvul of Eretz Yisrael. So comes out that the Mishnah said it takes 3 days to get back home. What do you mean? It takes 15 days, says the Gemara. Rav Yosef loy kasha. Kan b'migdash harishon, kan b'migdash sheni. What do you mean? Ketza. B'migdash rishon than Fisha Yisrael Tuva. Population was much greater during Bais Rishon. T'chsiv b'hu. V'Yehuda v'Yisrael rabim k'chol hashal sfasayam laro. The kingdoms of Judea, the kingdoms of Israel, had population like the sands of the sea. So therefore, being in Kulahai was a very large metropolis, and it took a long time to get back home. In Bais Sheni, there weren't a lot of people. In Ezra, it says that when Koresh allowed them to go back up, it says Kol HaKahal Kechad Arba Ribo 80,000 Apayim Alofim Shlosh Shishim 360. The lobbying in Kolahai, it only took 3 days. Abaya Amalei Abay V'Haksiv. It says by Sheni. By Yeshua Konim V'Alevim V'Amishorim V'Sha'arim V'Nesinim V'Areyem. They lived in all the places that they had originally lived in. Even the Achihu Ibcha Mistaber, then the opposite makes sense. The Migdash Rishon, the Fish Yisrael Tuva. In Bais Rishon, where there were more people, the mitzvahs almi v'shtachi sharasa da'azli ben b'mel ben b'leila, that people were connected to each other, and there were caravans going day and night. So, and the whole area was populated, Kulabin and Kulahai. You don't need so much time. The Sagi B'Tlosim was not 3 days. Mikdash Sheni Lo Nefishi Yisrael Tuva. Baishay didn't have a big population. There's not a lot of people living next to each other, and there's not a lot of caravans. Then Be'in and Kulahai need a lot more time. 15 days. Rav Amar, there's no steer. Lo yishnav migdash rishon, lo yishnav migdash sheni. We're talking about 2 different cases. Lo yitrich rabbanan ba'abeda yoser midai. We didn't want to cause the person who finds a lost object to have to work too hard. So we just, it's 3 days and that's it. Am Ravina Shmamina, Ki Machriz, he doesn't say, he doesn't just say, I found a lost object, Glima Machriz. He says, I found a shirt. If he just says, I found a lost object, we have to give another day for people to go home to search their belongings to see if they lost anything. El shmami no glima machris. And that he knows whether he lost a shirt. Shmami no, that's a good raya. Rava says there's no proof. Afilu tema vedosa machris. He makes a very bland statement. I found a lost object. Lo yitrich rabbanu baveda yosef midai. We didn't trouble people too great. We kept it simple. So when you make your announcement by regular Rishon, you say regular Rishonu. You say this is the first yontif. When you machri is during regal sheni, omer regal sheni. When you say regal shlishi, omer stam, you don't say which regal it is. V'amai lema regal shlishi. When you say it's the third yontif. Because we don't want it to get mixed up. Maybe we didn't hear clearly. He thinks it's only the second one. It's really the last one. Because he thinks he's got another yontif to wait. So Mor says if that's shows, Sheni Nami, Oskilach Lutha Barishon. When you say Regel, when you announce Regel Sheni, people are going to be confused with Regel Rishon. Yeah, but that's not Hakasi Regel Shlishi, but there's still a lot more time, so it's not dangerous. In the beginning, when they found a lost object, they would announce 3 different yontifs. And after the third time, they would wait another 7 days. It takes them 3 days to get home. Then he announces for 1 day. But Mishakar Beis Hamikdash, Shibon Beis Hamikdash, Yamenu, we don't have a central place where people go. You announce it in shuls and yeshiva. And umisharabu anasi, the criminals, all you have to do is announce it to your neighbors. My mishrabu, what does that mean when there's a lot of anasi? The Amri, Aveta Lamalka, they would say that according to the law, anything that's lost goes to the king. And so if you machriz barabim, the government will take it. Ravami Ashkech Odyu Dedinri. Ravami found a purse full of, or a vessel full of money. Chazu Ramad de Kamirte. He saw a Roman that was afraid. Amalei, Zilshkol Nafshacha. Go take it. The Lav Parsayan on Damir Aveda Telemak. We're not Persians that say a lost object goes to the king. You can keep it. Then Evan Toin Isab Yushalayim. There was a place called Evan Toin, the rock of claim. Whoever, it was like a lost and found. Whoever lost something would go there. And they would machriz. He would announce, the guy would give a simon and take it. The Zuiz Shaninu Tsu'uru in Nimches Evan Atoin. Go see if it still exists. Mishnah. Amar Saveda V'Lamar Simoneh. The owner says, yeah, he knew exactly what object was lost, but he didn't know the simoni. Lo yitin lo. And Aramai Afu Bisho Amar Simoneh lo yitin lo. Somebody who has a reputation of being a trickster, even if he knows the simoni, you don't give it. Shenemar Adrosh Achicha Oso. Ash Adishra says Achicha Im Ramoy Im Eno Ramoy. You have to interrogate it. Itmar. Rav Yirama Aveda to Machritz. You announced that I found a lost object. Rav Nachman Amar, no, Glima Machritz. You say what was lost. I found a shoe. I found a shirt. Rav Yudah Amar Aveda to Machris, the Amrit Glima Machris. If a person says, I lost a shirt, Chayshil Ramoy. Maybe a trickster will know that his friend lost a shirt, and he'll do some digging, and he'll figure out what the simonim. He'll give the simonim and steal it. So better keep it bland. Rav Nachman Amar Glima Machris. No, you can announce it's a shirt. And we don't suspect tricksters. I mean, you got to trust something. Because even if you just announced an Aveda, a Ramai will try to investigate what was lost. So our Mishnah Tanan, Amras Aveda, Amras Simonea. He came and said what the lost object was, but not the Simonim. Now, that only makes sense if you learn Yamrit Bishlam Aveda Somach. The guy announced a lost object. And the guy comes and says, I found a shoe. So that explains the Mishnah. Even though we know it was lost, since he didn't know the Simonim, we don't give it back to him. But if the founder of the lost object announces what was lost, so what do you mean? Whoever comes and says glima, because that's what he announced. So is it a big chiddush to say that if you don't know the simonim, you don't give it to him? Of course you wouldn't give it to him. He announced that it was a shirt. Amrav Safra, no raya from there. Lo'ilam glima. Really, you could hold like Rav Nachman that you announced the glima. Elo Amar Iu glima. The guy who found it announces a shirt. Amar Iu simonim. So, umay lo amar. What does it mean? The Mishnah, he doesn't know the simonim. Meaning lo amar simonim muvakim dito. He didn't know the unique characteristics of that particular item. Then therefore you don't give it to him. We all like Rav Nachman that you announce actually what was found. I found a shirt. I found a shoe. So the Mishnah said that the trickster, if we know he's a trickster, we don't give it to him, even if he knows the simoni. In the beginning, we would give the people the lost object based on simon. Mishrabu Aramoim, when criminals became more prevalent, you have to bring Eidim that you're a trustworthy guy, Vitol. The father of Rav Papa, he lost a donkey and was found. They told him as well, bring Eidim that you're not a trickster and give the simonim, you can take it. Azal Isisai, he brought Eidim. Amrlahu, Yaditin Bed Ramoivu? Is he a trickster? Amrle in. He said yes. Amrlahu. So the father of Rav Papa said, what do you mean? Ana Ramo? I'm not a trickster. Amrle Anan Lav Ramoyad Kamina. He got mixed up. We thought he asked, do we know that he's not a Ramo? So we believed the Adim's retractions. Now here comes an interesting halacha, Mishnah. You find a chamor. Now you got to keep this chamor for a year. We learned tonight. Well, the chamor eats food. So are you going to lose money? So a chamor you can work. Yasav yoichel, you can put him to work, and you have to feed him. But in general, it was like an even deal. Davar she'ein oisav oichel, If it's something that doesn't work, then you mocher. You can sell it and keep the money. And then eventually you have to return the money when the guy cuts. Remember, figure out the best way to return it to him. The guy's going to eat you out of house and home. And not only that, you'll be able to charge the one who lost the object the expenses. So it's just that returning a lost object at that point becomes a tircha. Now, ma'ye b'domim. What do you do with the money? Rav Tov Norman yishtamish ben. You can use it. Lefichach im avdu. Therefore, if the money got lost, chayv b'achri yusim. It's as if you loaned it, and therefore you'd be chayiv to replace it if it was lost. Rabbi Kiva Omer lo yishtamish ben. You shouldn't use it. Put it away. Yishar b'yada kamol shehem. Leave it the way it is until he comes back. Therefore, you have no responsibility. If it gets lost, there's no guarantee. Just like you don't have any responsibility for the aveda if it got lost. So he has to remain responsible forever. Like we said, 12 months. Then he can sell it. If it does work like a cow or a donkey, and there's profit, sham, you estimate their value and sell it. And you put this money aside. You wait the 12 months. Agolim usyachim, calves that are smaller, they don't work. The top of them shloishim yom. All you have to do is keep them 30 days. Mikan ve'elech sam tmei umenich, and you sell them and put away the money. Matzah avzim v'tarnagolim, geese and chickens, but top of them shloishim yom, because they lay eggs. Mikan ve'elech sam tmei umenich. After 30 days, you sell them. You can keep it for 12 months because it's considered like oisav oichel, because they make eggs. Chickens and a big animal. And you sell it. Just 30 days. If the work is greater than the reward, only 3 days. So we have a stira. One says 30, one says 3. Kasha agolim esyachim. Agolim esyachim. And avziv v'tarnagolim. So agolim esyachim like kasha hadere'ev hadim betume. 3 months, they go off to pasture. And the one that you fatten up and sell, it's only 1 month. Avziv v'tarnagolim, by the big ones, it's not a lot of work. You keep them longer. Abizutri, the smaller ones, you keep them short. Just 3 days. Return it to the person. Figure out what makes sense. That the whole value of the egel is the expenses. Well, the guy's going to come back for his calf that's worth $200, and you can present him a bill for $500. It makes no sense. The one who lost the object is not going to get anything, so it's not appropriate. Okay.
Go ahead, Ernie.
Tomorrow we said we're going to learn at 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 p.m. All right. Good night.
Bye, Lato.